30. Golden Age actors who became the worst drug addicts. What if I told you that behind the flawless charm and glittering spotlight of Golden Age Hollywood were actors hiding a darkness far deeper than any role they ever played? On screen, they looked perfect, smooth smiles, sharp suits, and a confidence that felt untouchable. But when the cameras stopped rolling, many of them slipped into worlds the studios tried desperately to hide. Quiet hotel rooms, back-lot trailers, late-night parties. Places where their fame couldn't protect them from the habits eating them alive. Here are 30 Golden Age actors who became the worst drug addicts. 30. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh looked like the perfect Golden Age beauty, but her life behind the camera slowly turned into a painful fight with pills and alcohol. Fame brought pressure she never learned to escape, and the studios kept pushing her harder. As her mind and body grew weaker, she relied even more on substances that only made her world darker. Her rise was bright, but her struggle with addiction became one of Hollywood's quiet tragedies. 29. Richard Burton. Richard Burton had the voice, the talent, and the power to rule any room, yet alcohol became the one thing he could not control. While studios celebrated him as a legend, he was drinking from morning till night, losing pieces of himself along the way. His marriages, friendships, and career all suffered as the bottle took over. In the Golden Age, few actors fell as hard as he did, and addiction followed him until his final years. 28. Judy Holliday. Judy Holliday was loved for her bright smile and sharp timing, but the pressure to stay perfect pushed her toward quiet dependence on pills. Hollywood expected her to be cheerful every day, even when she felt exhausted or overwhelmed. She began relying on medication to keep up with demanding schedules and emotional stress. Behind her gentle screen presence, she carried a private struggle that showed how even the funniest stars of the Golden Age battled dangerous habits they tried to hide. 27. Tony Curtis. Tony Curtis looked confident and glamorous, but his fast rise brought temptations he couldn't walk away from. Cocaine became his escape during the years when studios expected him to stay charming, fit, and flawless. The more fame he gained, the more he leaned on drugs to keep up with the pressure. His addiction slowly changed his personality, his relationships, and his work, turning a bright young star into another painful example of Golden Age Hollywood's destructive lifestyle. 26. Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper entered Hollywood with raw talent and rebellious energy, but that same wild spirit pushed him deep into cocaine and alcohol. His party-heavy reputation wasn't just a rumor, it took over his life and career. He lived on chaotic sets, reckless nights, and dangerous habits that made him unpredictable. Even as his acting skills stayed strong, his addictions kept dragging him into turmoil. His story became one of the most explosive examples of Golden Age stars losing control. 25. Gene Tierney. Gene Tierney was admired for her elegance, but her private life carried heartbreak, pressure, and emotional pain that led her toward pills and sedatives. Hollywood demanded perfection, and she struggled to keep up while dealing with personal challenges that never left her alone. She turned to medication for relief, but it slowly became a dependence she couldn't shake. Her addiction showed how even the most graceful Golden Age actresses fought silent battles that audiences never saw. 24. Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton was known for his stone face and fearless stunts, but his real battle started when he lost creative control of his work. The studios reshaped his career, and the pressure crushed him. Alcohol became his escape, slowly taking over his life. His once sharp mind and fearless energy faded as he drank more heavily. Behind his iconic silence, he fought a painful addiction that turned one of Hollywood's greatest innovators into a man struggling to hold himself together. 23. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner looked untouchable on screen, yet her world behind the scenes was filled with heartbreak, loneliness, and emotional chaos. Alcohol became her way of easing the pain of unstable relationships, nonstop fame, and the pressure to stay flawless. She drank to numb feelings she didn't want to face, and over time, it chipped away at her confidence and health. Her glamorous image hid a heavy dependence that shaped her golden age journey in ways fans never imagined. 22. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was a powerful force in entertainment, but private stress pushed him toward pills and emotional highs and lows. Fame demanded constant perfection, and the weight of his career, relationships, and public image wore him down. Pills became a way to keep moving, to keep performing, to keep feeling in control. The addiction grew quietly, shaping his mood and his choices. Behind the voice that defined an era, he lived with a dependence few people truly understood. 21. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando transformed acting in the golden age, yet he carried deep emotional wounds that never healed. As fame exploded, he turned to prescription pills and food for comfort, trying to quiet the chaos inside him. The pressures of Hollywood, broken relationships, and personal tragedies pushed him further into unhealthy habits. His physical and emotional struggles grew over time, showing how even a brilliant mind can slip into addiction when life becomes heavier than the spotlight can hide. 20. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was the picture of glamour, but her private world was full of fear, pressure, and heartbreak. As studios demanded perfection, she turned to alcohol to quiet the stress she carried every day. Fame didn't protect her from loneliness, and drinking slowly became the one thing she leaned on when everything around her felt too heavy. Her radiant smile on screen hid a life shaped by addiction, showing how even the most iconic golden age beauty struggled in silence. 19. Lana Turner. Lana Turner dazzled audiences with her dramatic beauty, but her personal life pulled her into a painful cycle of sleeping pills and alcohol. Hollywood expected her to stay polished and graceful, while her real world fell apart behind closed doors. She began relying on substances to handle exhaustion, heartbreak, and nonstop pressure. The glamour everyone adored hid a deep dependence that followed her through her career. Her story became another reminder of how Golden Age fame carried a heavy cost. 18. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum built his image on toughness, but his off-screen life was filled with heavy drinking and a marijuana scandal that shook Hollywood. He lived fast, partied hard, and often pushed boundaries just to feel free from studio control. Alcohol became a steady part of his routine, shaping his moods and decisions. Even though he remained talented and charismatic, addiction shadowed every chapter of his golden age journey, showing how his rebellious charm came with a darker edge. 17. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead was wild, bold, and unforgettable, but her lifestyle spiraled into a dangerous mix of cocaine, alcohol, and painkillers. She loved being the center of attention, yet those same highs pushed her deeper into reckless habits. Behind her loud personality was a woman trying to quiet the emotional pain she had never addressed. Her addictions made her unpredictable, thrilling, and tragic all at once. She became one of the clearest examples of golden age glamour mixed with self-destruction. 16. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge carried talent that could have taken her even higher, but the weight of discrimination, failed relationships, and financial stress pushed her into alcohol and pills. Hollywood treated her unfairly, giving her pressure without support. As her career slowed, the emotional pain grew heavier, and substances became her way to cope. Her beauty and grace hit a breaking heart, and addiction slowly wrapped itself around her life, becoming one of the saddest realities behind her golden age success. 15. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney looked unstoppable during his early fame, but behind the laughter and speed of his performances, he wrestled with alcohol, pills, and even gambling. He was pushed into adulthood too fast, living under non-stop studio control. The pressure made him restless, and he turned to unhealthy habits for relief. His addictions came in waves, affecting his marriages, money, and confidence. His golden age journey showed how early success often comes with shadows that follow long after the applause fades. 14. Peter Lawford. Peter Lawford lived in a world of luxury, power, and celebrity circles, but the glamorous lifestyle pulled him into alcohol and pills. Being tied to political elites and Hollywood stars added expectations he couldn't manage. Parties became routine, and substances became a daily escape. His charm and elegance hid a life slipping out of control. The deeper he went into addiction, the more his career and relationships suffered, turning his golden age success into a slow, painful unraveling. 13. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. was a powerhouse performer, but the nonstop pressure of being a trailblazer pushed him toward cocaine and alcohol. He worked long nights, faced racism, and was expected to stay energetic and flawless. Substances became a way to keep going through exhaustion and emotional pain. His addiction grew quietly as he entertained crowds across the country. Behind his sharp smile and incredible talent, he lived with a struggle that shaped the darker side of his golden age legacy. Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes was a genius in aviation and filmmaking, but behind his success was a man slipping deeper into painkillers and obsessive habits. Injuries from his dangerous flights left him in constant pain, and pills became the only thing that gave him relief. Over time, the addiction trapped him inside dark rooms, strange routines, and heavy paranoia. His brilliant mind faded as the drugs took over, turning one of Hollywood's boldest figures into someone ruled by fear and dependence. 11. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow lit up the screen with her platinum charm, but the pressure to stay energetic and flawless pushed her into relying on stimulants. Studios demanded long hours, perfect scenes, and non-stop publicity, leaving her exhausted. She used pills to keep going, trying to meet those impossible expectations. Behind her glowing beauty, she struggled with the hidden weight of addiction. Her short life showed how golden age demands could push even the brightest stars toward dangerous habits. 10. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy built a reputation as one of Hollywood's strongest actors, yet he carried a secret battle with alcohol for most of his career. The studios covered his drinking, keeping his image clean while he privately fought cravings he couldn't control. His addiction affected his relationships and health, even as he delivered powerful performances on screen. Behind every role, a man was trying to manage a dependence that followed him through decades of golden age fame. 9. Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi became iconic as Dracula, but real life brought him a different kind of nightmare: morphine addiction. The pain from old injuries and the stress of declining roles pushed him toward drugs that slowly consumed him. As Hollywood moved on, he struggled to find steady work, and his dependence only grew stronger. Eventually, he sought treatment, becoming one of the few golden age actors to speak openly about addiction. His career faded, but his battle remained unforgettable. 8. Robert Walker. Robert Walker entered Hollywood with charm and promise, but the studios pushed him into a pace he could never handle. Pills were handed out to control his mood, his energy, and his long workdays, and he slowly began depending on them. Alcohol joined the mix, turning his life chaotic and unstable. His personal struggles and emotional pain made the addiction grow even stronger. His golden age career became a sad reminder of how easily young talent was broken. 7. John Barrymore. John Barrymore was once called one of the greatest actors of his time, yet alcohol slowly pulled him away from everything he had built. He loved the spotlight, but he loved drinking even more, and it became the center of his life. His talent stayed bright, but his discipline faded as alcohol shaped his days and nights. He went from a celebrated star to a man battling constant decline. His fall showed how addiction could overwhelm even the strongest legends. 6. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor lived under nonstop attention, and the pressure left deep marks on her health and emotions. After countless injuries and demanding roles, she turned to painkillers for relief, and the habit slowly grew into dependence. Alcohol became another escape from heartbreak, illness, and fame's heavy expectations. Her glamorous image hid years of struggle as she fought to stay grounded. Her addiction showed how Golden Age Hollywood pushed its brightest stars far beyond their breaking point. 5. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday sang with a voice full of pain and beauty, but her life behind the music was filled with trauma that followed her everywhere. Heroin became the thing she turned to when the world felt too heavy, and the addiction tightened its grip year after year. Government pressure, abusive partners, and constant touring only made her depend more on drugs. Her Golden Age legacy carried brilliance, but also a heartbreaking fight that consumed her strength. 4. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn lived like a real-life adventure hero, and that wild lifestyle pulled him straight into dangerous habits. Parties, fast living, and nonstop pressure kept him chasing thrills, and heroin soon became part of his routine. Hollywood loved his charm, but behind the scenes he was slipping deeper into addiction. His reckless nights, legal trouble, and constant scandals showed how fame fed his worst impulses. In the Golden Age, few actors burned through life as fiercely as he did. 3. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was rising toward legendary status when his near-fatal car crash changed everything. The pain that followed pushed him toward heavy use of painkillers and alcohol, and the addiction slowly took control. His once bright career dimmed as he struggled to manage both physical and emotional damage. The studios tried to keep him working, but his habits grew stronger than his discipline. His downfall showed how a single moment could send even the most gifted Golden Age actor into a tragic spiral. 2. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe looked like the Golden Age dream, but inside she lived with fear, loneliness, and exhaustion. To sleep, she used pills. To wake up, she used more. To stay calm, she reached for alcohol. The pressures of fame, unstable relationships, and the studio's control pushed her further into dependence. Her beauty and smile hid the reality that she was falling apart. Addiction slowly became part of her daily life, turning her into one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking stories. 1. Judy Garland. Judy Garland grew up in a studio system that treated her like a product, not a child. They gave her pills to stay awake, pills to sleep, and pills to keep her weight down. She was trapped in a cycle before she even understood what addiction was. As she grew older, the pressure only increased, and the dependence followed her into adulthood. Her talent was enormous, but her struggle with drugs became one of the darkest examples of Golden Age cruelty. Behind every polished interview and every glowing movie poster stood actors fighting battles no one ever talked about. Fame gave them everything, yet it also pushed many of them into addictions that stole their careers, their health, and in some cases, their lives. So now the real question is this: how many more stories like these were buried so deep that Hollywood still refuses to admit they ever happened? If you want the full truth, every twist, every downfall, every secret Hollywood tried to hide, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what comes next.